Hello, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing, topping our newscast. Top officials of the VI National Guard, the U.S. Northern Command, and VITEMA. They're getting together this week in an intensive planning event. They're getting ready for a national level exercise in May of next year. And it could be one of the largest in history of the VI. News2's April Knight has details.
They're calling it Operation Urgent Shield. That's the name for the 2017 Vigilant Guard, a massive emergency response exercise that'll draw 2,000 participants to the territory.
So Vigilant Guard is a national level exercise that basically tests the ability of the National Guard to work in conjunction with other agencies, the Territory Emergency Management Agency as well, in the event of an all-hazards type event, whether it be a man-made or a natural disaster.
The national level exercise is sponsored by the National Guard Bureau and the U.S. Northern Command.
NORTHCOM really has a role where they provide Title X assets in support of the Virgin Islands in a great major disaster.
Should disaster hit the VI, the exercise will come in handy to VITEMA in fulfilling its role, coordination.
Coordinate the response effort, how we get various government agencies, the private sector, volunteer organizations, how we get them all to work together to respond and recover after an event.
Third, in a series of 5 planning events leading up to the May 2017 exercise. Here, attendees broke out into groups dealing with various aspects of emergency response. In May next year, we're going to see a massive drill in response to a hypothetical earthquake, 7.5 on the Richter scale, and 10 minutes later, a 20-foot tsunami hitting St. Thomas.
In the Virgin Islands, tsunami, earthquake is something that is relevant, but when we do the exercise, we want something that's going to stress and strain, our capabilities here, so we know, what we need to improve on and where we need help.
Again, the Vigilant Guard event is not being held until May of 2017. Their last planning event will be held in February. Well, the VI National Guard Construction and Facilities Management Office, they're hosting presentations for its employees and Guard personnel on Zika virus prevention in conjunction with the VI Department of Health and the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. 2 briefings are on the Zika virus. They're scheduled. It's focused on the surveillance, testing, and control of Zika virus transmitting mosquitoes on Army installations. On St. Croix, it will be held at the Brigadier General Gerard James Sr. Joint Force Headquarters Drill Hall. That's in Estate Bethlehem Military Compound, St. Croix. Then Thursday, June 23rd at 2 p.m. on St. Thomas at the Sergeant First Class Leonard Francis Readiness Center, and that's on Friday, June 24th at 10 a.m. Meanwhile, the Department of Health reports no new cases of Zika. That's according to the weekly surveillance report. The total number of confirmed positive cases in the U.S. VI remains at 26, with 16 cases on St. Croix, 9 cases on St. Thomas, and 1 on St. John. The Department of Health, in collaboration with the CDC, they will be stationed at several locations this week, providing information and free insect repellent at the USVI Veterans Expo. That's on the 21st at Tutu Park Mall, located on St. Thomas, and the 23rd now at Sunshine Mall on St. Croix. They will also be present on Saturday, June 25th at the St. Thomas Housing Expo at UVI. In case you were wondering why the Charles Harwood Complex had some shortages today, well, that's because the Department of Health successfully saw patients early this morning, but however, due to the air conditioning issues, non-essential staff were allowed to leave early. Technicians were on site early this afternoon. Commissioner Davis personally walked through the halls of the hospital, addressing employees' concerns and health issues. The commissioner says she will continue to monitor the situation and provide updates. However, the problem was expected to be addressed at the close of the business day today. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, they're announcing a water service interruption for a portion of St. Thomas's Content area on Thursday, June 23rd. It's from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Customers in Content, from budget car rental to the medical arts complex, will experience that water service interruption, while contractor Island Roads Corporation ties in a 6-inch water line to the 8-inch main on the Harwood Highway for the Content Midtown Rehabilitation Project. That project, which is funded by an EPA grant, will improve water quality and system pressure in the content area. Customers are urged to store adequate water for use. Remember, we are in the hurricane season. Innovative reminds its employees and customers that in the event of a severe storm or hurricane, it is important to stay abreast of weather conditions. Sean O'Donnell, CEO and president of Innovative Companies, shares some reminders.
Good day. This is Sean O'Donnell, CEO of Innovative, here to remind you about important hurricane preparedness activities. In the event of a storm, customers should refrain from cutting down or moving any down lines because they may be active utility lines. For customers on our new network, during a power outage, the backup battery for your modem will provide up to 6 hours of talk time. We encourage you to use your telephone on an as-needed basis during power outages to conserve the battery life. We know that there are customers whose batteries no longer hold a charge, and we have been contacting these customers directly to replace these batteries free of charge. These customers can bring these batteries to the business office to swap out their dead battery, or if you are not able to or unwilling to remove the battery yourself, you can call 912 to schedule an appointment for Innovative to come to your house to swap it out for you. Either way is free of charge to our customers.
Just some important tips to keep in mind. Well, last Friday, as we reported, Governor Mapp proposed legislation seeking to restructure the territory's debt and access new monies in the amount of $290 million for capital projects and working capital. St. Croix District senators who have been pressing the administration to move faster on existing capital projects are questioning the timing of this borrowing request, especially since they have not seen the commencement, they say, of any existing projects, such as the Paul E. Joseph Stadium and critical road repairs. They are therefore calling for a comprehensive status report from the administration on pending projects, so they say everyone can be on the same page. Well, on Tuesday, we reported on Governor Mapp's meeting with the press in an effort to lay out the contents of the fiscal year 2017 budget. The budget this year is a little higher than last year and has gotten some criticism. But Governor Mapp said it's a sound financial plan. Here's more from News 2's April Knight.
Governor Mapp said some may call the budget a pie in the sky, but he said it's a solid plan that can cut a hole in the deficit.
We bridged the budget deficit through using a portion of our line of credit, but also restructuring our debt.
The governor also said he's submitting a bill that would increase sin taxes. The Virgin Islands, he said, will also be pursuing sugar taxes on sweet drinks.
The taxes on tobacco and alcohol, we have significant room to increase them and yet remain competitive in the region on the product.
The budget also targets health insurance costs, which currently costs the government about $165 million a year. According to the governor, by his 4th year in office, it will have grown to $200 million a year.
We're going to be working on a plan to restructure the health insurance coverage of government workers and retirees to one that targets wellness, meaning putting in the hands of the coverage families and members, as each year every member is required to do a health assessment, to turn it over to the insurance company or suffer a financial penalty.
The capital budget also supports infrastructure under agencies like sports parks and recreation, DPNR, and education, which would include the building of a K-8 school on St. John.
We continue to support the growth and the expansion of the economy while we take care of the infrastructure of the territory.
And the government's budget for this year stands at $1.35 billion, with $1.1 billion of that coming from local funding. Well, looking back at the Senate today, budget hearings continued. Among the agencies that defended their budget was the Virgin Islands Labor Management Committee, an agency that has been in existence since 1982 and seeks to resolve issues impacting labor management relationships. They're asking for $188,000. Here's more.
The problem that we face is it's like cyclical. Whenever there's a change in administration, then there are revisions, reorganization, and then we have to wait, as we have been waiting these several months, until we got the word that they are ready and prepared to address the program.
Meanwhile, on Tuesday, additional budget hearings were held later in the afternoon. Looking back, the Committee on Finance heard testimony from Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement, Randolph Bennett, who defended his department budget of $3.18 million. Bennett testified that the department's budget actually totals $15,380,000 and requested additional funding to meet shortages. The Finance Committee also received testimony from the Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, Gustav James, who presented the budget request for $20.86 million. Turning our attention overseas, on Tuesday, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch met with survivors of the Orlando shooting, the worst mass shooting in modern American history. 49 people died last week when Omar Mateen opened fire. Dozens more were injured. But now we're learning more about what happened in the days and the hours before the attack. Mary Maloney reports.
Law enforcement sources say the day before the attack, the Orlando terrorist Omar Mateen bought tickets for a trip to California for his family. Sources say Mateen bought 3 plane tickets, one for himself, his wife, and his young son. But hours before the shooting, his wife, Noor Salman, remembers him being mad, packing a bag with guns, and leaving their apartment despite her pleas. That's what law enforcement sources say Salman has since told investigators. Salman says she didn't know of her husband's plan to drive 2 hours to Orlando and commit mass murder. She never called police. When asked about potential charges against Salman, Attorney General Loretta Lynch was vague.
We are trying to learn everything we can about Mateen and all the people in his ambit in the days and weeks and months leading up to this attack.
Through cell phone records and surveillance video, investigators are building a timeline. Law enforcement sources say Mateen went to Pulse nightclub, paid the cover charge, and got a wristband. Investigators think he may have been casing the club to check out security. He then left for 2 hours. Investigators are trying to determine where Mateen went and who he talked to before returning to the club and opening fire.
We're working to identify anyone he had contact with that night, up to obviously and including any phone contact, any kind of electronic communication that he had, and we're still processing all that information as well.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers there, we can see everything down. The Dow 48, NASDAQ 10, S&P 500 also down at 3. Coming up on NEWS2, we have much more straight ahead, including a job fair by the Department of Labor, some graduation information, and summer camps to look out for, including a yoga summer camp. Details coming up. Welcome back. VIPD says a wanted man has turned himself in. On June 22nd at 5:20 a.m., Nathaniel Thomas Jr. surrendered himself at the Patrick Sweeney Police Complex in Frederiksted. During that time, the Investigations Bureau supervisor took Mr. Thomas into processing, which he had his advice of rights hearing and was remanded. Mr. Thomas was wanted for reckless endangerment first degree, which occurred in the vicinity of Gas for Less gas station on May 15, 2016. A community prayer vigil is planned for the community to heal in solidarity. They say death leaves a heartache no one can heal. Love leaves a memory no one can steal. Now that will be held on Friday, June 24th at 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Faith Christian Fellowship Alive in Christ. That's located in Tutu between Building 13 and 14. It's presented by the VIPD, Governor's Children Task Force, the Crime Prevention Bureau, Weed and Seed Program in collaboration with Estate Tutu High-Rise Tenant Council. As we mentioned, on June 12, Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter traveled to London, England to meet with representatives of underwriters at Lloyds. The purpose of that visit, he said, was to conduct, by special invitation, a presentation to Lloyds on the status of the VI economy and its impact on the insurance industry, Potter said the visit was very successful, and the Virgin Islands can be assured of a solid and continuous association with Lloyds. He was accompanied by Gwendolyn Hall Brady, who's the director of the Division of Banking and Insurance. Lloyds is the largest property and casualty insurer by volume of premiums written annually in the USVI. USVI Hotel and Tourism Association's 23rd Annual Destination Symposium is presently underway. It began June 20th and continues to the 24th. Representatives from several of the top travel companies are gathering for the 5-day event to meet with on-island travel partners and to discuss various products, marketing initiatives, and more. Not only does the symposium allow wholesalers to learn more about what we offer, but it also gives local businesses a chance to show off their products and services. Meetings kicked off at the Frenchman's Reef and Morningstar Beach Resort with the USVI Department of Tourism. They gave a marketing and public relations update, followed by business appointment sessions. Graduation ceremonies continue. 33 graduated from the St. Croix Adult Education on St. Croix at the St. Croix Educational Complex. The valedictorian was Bianca Santiago, who shared some words of wisdom, and the salutatorian was Shauna Henry. The number of students going to college, 4, number going to the military, 2, and 27 are ready to hit the workforce. Congratulations to the graduates. And Adelita Cancroyne Junior High School, they held their graduation in the auditorium on June 21st. The administration and staff also held an advancement awards ceremony. The students were recognized for their hard work and dedication throughout the school year. The students prepare to leave junior high to take the next step to high school. Congrats to all of the students. And of course, as we get the pictures and video, we'll share them with you. The Virgin Islands Department of Labor says keep this in mind, students. They're holding a job fair on Thursday, June 23rd on St. Thomas at UVI Sports and Fitness Center from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then on Thursday, June 30th on St. Croix at UVI Great Hall. And that's from 1 to 5 p.m. They say the primary goal of the job fair is to connect recent college, university, and all high school graduates with businesses who have current employment opportunities. Job seekers, first impressions matter. Practice your 30-second introduction speech, they say. Dress professionally and be sure to bring out your resumes. On August 9th to the 13th, time for summer camps, and then on August 16th to 19th, the Virgin Islands Children's Museum, they're holding a summer camp. They say the students can explore our beautiful world and experience the diverse cultures through mindful movement of yoga and sensory integrated activities, music, games, dance, stories, child-centered cultural art projects, and health-conscious cooking reflecting cultures of the world. From surfing in Australia to visiting the pyramids of Egypt, they will explore, dream, and create. Ages 5 to 8 are welcomed, 9 a.m. to 11:30. Ages 9 to 12, they're from 1 to 3:30. You can visit the Virgin Islands Yoga on Facebook, that's Virgin Islands Yoga, for more information. And speaking of yoga, yoga has grown into popularity over the past few decades and now a multi-billion-dollar industry. And this Thursday, the United Nations declared June 21st as International Yoga Day. Now, many were drawn to the mat, including St. John business owner Donna Schnell, which you'll see here in a moment, doing a headstand. He says due to running multiple businesses, yoga keeps him focused in order to improve flexibility and reduce stress and to address matters of general health and fitness. More and more hybrid classes which merge yoga with other disciplines like Pilates, dance, weightlifting, or cycling are emerging. It is a 5,000-year-old tradition, and before you were looking at some pictures from an event held by Virgin Islands Yoga, and that is Don Schnell right there, resident of St. John. Virgin Islands Port Authority, they're inviting you to attend its 2016 Summer Fitness and Wellness Program, Zumba, Soca Aerobics, and Fitness Training classes. That's beginning Monday, June 27 at the University of the Virgin Islands St. Croix campus tennis court behind the cafeteria. Zumba will be held Mondays, 5:45 to 6:45. Soca Aerobics, Tuesdays, 5:30 to 6:30. fitness training Thursdays, 5:45 to 6 p.m. Now, there's a registration fee, but it's free for VI Port Authority employees. Early registration June 23rd and 24th at the Henry E. Wilson Airport Terminal Conference Room on the second floor. You can call them for more information. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.
Of a clinching game, and